There is a force in this world that works silently, invisibly, and yet more powerfully than almost anything else you will ever encounter. It does not shout. It does not rush. It does not demand attention. But it changes lives. It builds fortunes. And it destroys excuses. That force is the power of compounding. Most people hear about compounding and think only in terms of money interest rates, savings accounts, investments. But compounding is far bigger than finance. It is a principle of life. It governs success, failure, health, relationships, skills, and destiny. And if you understand it early, you will live differently than most people ever will. Let me show you how. The first truth is simple but uncomfortable. Small things matter more than most people believe. A person thinks, what difference does saving a small amount make? What difference does reading 10 pages a day make? What difference does 1 extra hour of work really create? And because they cannot see immediate results, they dismiss it. But compounding never works in the short term. It always hides its power in the beginning. It looks weak. It feels slow. It seems almost meaningless. But it is quietly building momentum. Imagine planting a seed. The first few days, nothing happens. The soil looks the same. You question whether anything is working. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is building where no one can see it. That is how wealth is created. Not in sudden bursts, but in silent accumulation. Now here is where most people fail. They underestimate time. Time is not just passing, it is multiplying everything you do. If you save a small amount of money today and you repeat it consistently, time doesn't just add it up, it multiplies it. The same applies to waste. If you waste a little time every day, it doesn't stay small. It grows into a life of regret. So the question is not whether compounding works. The question is, what are you allowing it to multiply in your life? Good habits or bad habits? Discipline or distraction? Investment or indulgence? Because compounding is always working. Always. The second truth is this: consistency beats intensity. Most people fail because they try to change their financial life in one big emotional decision. They get motivated, they try something extreme, and then they burn out. But compounding does not respond to intensity. It responds to consistency. A small action repeated daily is far more powerful than a big action done occasionally. A person who invests a small amount every month for years will outperform the person who invests large amounts only when they feel inspired. Why? Because one respects the process. The other respects emotion, and emotion is unreliable. The third truth is patience, the most undervalued ingredient in wealth creation. We live in a world that wants results instantly: fast money, quick success, overnight transformation. But compounding is slow at the beginning and powerful at the end. At first, progress is so small you may doubt it is working at all. But somewhere along the way, something shifts. The growth curve bends. What was once slow becomes unstoppable. That is the magic of exponential growth. But here is the secret most people never learn. The breakthrough does not happen at the start. It happens after the waiting. And most people quit before the waiting pays off. They quit right before the curve rises. Now think about this carefully. What you start today may look insignificant for a long time. But if you stay consistent long enough, it becomes life-changing. That is why discipline is not punishment, it is investment. Every disciplined choice is a deposit into your future self. And every undisciplined choice is a withdrawal you will eventually pay for. So the real question is not, can I do this today? The real question is, what kind of life am I compounding toward? Because whether you realize it or not, you are already compounding something. Your habits are compounding. Your decisions are compounding. Your financial behavior is compounding. Your mindset is compounding. And over time, those small daily actions are building the life you will eventually live. So if you want wealth, don't chase big moments. Build small habits. If you want financial freedom, don't wait for a lucky break. Start with consistent investment. If you want success, don't look for shortcuts. Look for repetition. Because repetition is the birthplace of mastery, and mastery is the birthplace of wealth. Let me leave you with this final thought. The difference between those who build wealth and those who struggle is not intelligence. It is not opportunity. It is not luck. It is understanding one simple truth. Small actions, when repeated long enough, become unstoppable forces. So start small. Stay consistent. Think long term. And let time do what time does best: turn effort into fortune. Because in the end, the power of compounding does not just build wealth. It builds destinies. True essence of compounding begins with a simple but life-changing truth. Small actions, when repeated consistently over time, create results that appear almost magical in their scale. Most people fail to understand this because they are trained to look for immediate impact. They want results that can be seen today, not seeds that will grow tomorrow. But compounding does not work in the language of urgency. It works in the language of patience, repetition, and time. Every small step you take may seem insignificant in isolation. Saving a small amount of money, reading a few pages of a book, investing a little effort into learning a skill, or making one disciplined choice in a day may not feel powerful in the moment. In fact, it often feels like nothing is happening at all. But this is where most people misunderstand the process. They judge actions by their immediate results, not by their long-term accumulation. Compounding rewards those who respect the process, not those who chase excitement. When you repeat a small positive action daily, it begins to stack on top of itself. Like invisible layers being added one by one, your efforts build momentum that is not noticeable at first, but becomes unstoppable over time. The real transformation does not happen in the beginning. It happens when consistency meets time. Think of it like a drop of water falling on a stone. One drop makes no impression. Even 100 drops seem powerless. But continuous drops over months and years begin to shape and carve the hardest surfaces. The power is not in the size of the drop, but in the persistence of its presence. That is exactly how wealth, success, and personal growth are formed. Most people underestimate this principle because they give up too early. They stop when the results are still invisible. They quit right before the process starts to accelerate. But those who continue, even when nothing seems to be changing, are the ones who eventually experience exponential growth. Their small habits become powerful systems, and their systems become life-changing results. This is why discipline in small things matters more than motivation in big moments. Motivation fades, but repetition compounds. And what you repeat today silently becomes the reality you live tomorrow. True wealth is never built in a hurry. It is built in silence, through patience, and through the ability to think beyond what is immediately visible. Most people struggle financially not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack the patience to let time work in their favor. They underestimate the value of waiting, of staying consistent, and of allowing small efforts to grow into something meaningful over years rather than days. Patience is not passive. It is an active discipline of controlling emotion in the present for the sake of a greater future. When people invest money, learn a skill, or build a business, the early stage often feels slow and unrewarding. There is no dramatic change, no instant transformation, and no visible reward that confirms progress. This is where most individuals lose faith. They begin to question whether their efforts are even working. And because they cannot see immediate results, they abandon the process entirely. But those who understand compounding see things differently. They recognize that delay is not denial, it is development. Every day of consistency is quietly adding value that may not be visible yet, but is absolutely real. Just like a tree does not grow above the ground before it establishes strong roots beneath it, financial growth also requires unseen preparation before visible success appears. Long-term thinking changes everything. It allows you to make decisions not based on emotion, but based on direction. Instead of asking, what can I gain today? You begin to ask, where will this lead me in 10 years? That shift in thinking separates temporary effort from lasting wealth. It helps you stay committed when others quit, and it helps you continue building when others lose interest. The greatest advantage in wealth creation is not intelligence or luck, it is the ability to stay in the game long enough for compounding to work. Time becomes your greatest ally only when you respect it. If you rush the process, you break the effect. But if you trust the process, time begins to multiply your discipline, your savings, and your decisions into something far greater than what you started with. In the end, patience is not just about waiting. It is about believing that what you are building today, even if it looks small, is already growing into something much bigger than you can currently see. Financial success is rarely the result of a single breakthrough moment. It is the outcome of countless ordinary days where decisions are repeated in the same direction. Most people search for dramatic change, believing that wealth comes from one big opportunity, one perfect investment, or one lucky break. But in reality, financial success is built quietly through daily habits that either strengthen your future or weaken it without you even noticing. Every person already has a financial pattern. Some save a little regularly, some spend everything they earn, and others move between saving and spending without direction. These patterns may seem small and harmless on a single day, but when repeated over months and years, they become powerful forces that shape an entire life. This is the silent power of habit. It does not announce itself, but it always delivers results. The truth is, your financial future is not controlled by rare events, but by repeated behaviors. A small decision to save instead of spend, to invest instead of waste, or to learn instead of distract may not feel significant in the moment. But when these decisions are made consistently, they begin to accumulate like invisible building blocks. Over time, they form the structure of financial stability and eventually financial freedom. What most people fail to realize is that success does not require perfection, it requires consistency. You do not need to make the right decision every once in a while, you need to make it often enough for it to compound. Even small improvements, when maintained over long periods, create results that look extraordinary from the outside. This is why discipline matters more than desire. Desire creates intention, but discipline creates outcome. A person may want financial success deeply, but without daily habits that support that desire, nothing changes. On the other hand, someone with average income but strong habits can slowly build a foundation that leads to lasting wealth. Over time, these habits stop feeling like effort and start becoming identity. You no longer think about saving or investing as a task, it becomes who you are. And that is where true financial transformation happens, not in a moment of motivation, but in a lifetime of repetition. Every single decision you make in life carries a silent weight. It may not feel significant at the moment, but it never exists in isolation. Each choice is a seed, and over time, those seeds begin to grow into patterns, and those patterns eventually become your reality. This is the deeper truth behind compounding, not just in money, but in every area of life. What you repeat, you become. What you ignore, you lose. And what you allow to continue, you eventually live with. Your daily decisions around money, time, learning, and discipline are constantly shaping your direction. Spending without thinking, saving without purpose, working without focus, or delaying important actions may seem small in the moment, but they accumulate quietly. On the other hand, even the smallest positive choices, like saving a portion of your income, investing in knowledge, or controlling unnecessary expenses, begin to build strength over time. The difference is not visible instantly, but it becomes undeniable in the long run. Most people underestimate how powerful repetition is. They believe life is shaped by big events, but in reality, life is shaped by small routines repeated over and over again. The danger is that negative habits compound just as effectively as positive ones. A little waste today becomes financial stress tomorrow. A little discipline today becomes financial freedom in the future. Time does not distinguish between good and bad habits, it only multiplies what you give it. This is why awareness is so important. When you become conscious of your daily decisions, you begin to understand that every action has direction. There is no such thing as a neutral habit. Every choice either moves you closer to stability or further away from it. Even moments of laziness, when repeated, create long-term consequences that are far greater than they appear. But the powerful part of this truth is that it also means change is always possible. By changing your daily decisions even slightly, you begin to change your future trajectory. You don't need dramatic transformation, you need consistent correction. Over time, those corrections accumulate and your entire life begins to shift. In the end, your future is not shaped by one decision, but by the thousands of small decisions you repeat without thinking. And when you understand that, you realize you are always in control of the direction you are compounding toward. In conclusion, the real power of compounding lies in understanding that your future is not shaped by one big moment, but by the endless stream of small decisions you make every single day. Nothing you do is too small to matter, because time has a way of collecting everything, young and old, rich and poor, successful and unsuccessful, because time has a way of collecting everything. Your choices and turning them into results that eventually define your life. If your decisions are guided by awareness and responsibility, they will quietly build a future of stability, growth, and freedom. But if they are guided by carelessness and delay, they will also compound just in the opposite direction. This is why the direction of your life is always being written in the present moment through actions that may seem insignificant today, but become powerful tomorrow. The truth is simple but life-changing. You are always compounding something. The only question is whether you are building a future of strength or slowly creating limitations without realizing it. Once you understand this, every decision gains meaning, every habit gains. And every day becomes an opportunity to move closer to the life you truly want.